Let's see. Luna. She became a construct when she was a child, and she was experimented on, got infected by the punishing virus and discarded like rubbish. Number 21. She was experimented on since she was a child, and when she grew up into an adult, she was made into a construct as part of further experiments. Vera once was a kind-hearted, well, a bit of a rough-hearted medic, but still very helpful and had more innocence once, owing to the trauma of battlefield. Apparently drove her a little bit crazy. And uses pain to actually make herself feel real. Rosetta. She was a bit of an outcast because of her grandpa. Well, grandpa was a bit of an outsider, so she became an outsider with him by default. But in trying to help the people of a port city, she ended up helping a bionicle narwhal, which the folks of the city hated. As such, her punishment was forced into a human-animal hybrid construct. Sophia. She was an orphan on the Great Islam until she... well... until she got adopted by engineers for her ingenuity and knowledge of all the air ducts of the Great Train, and she got to watch all of her new family get murdered corrupted by aristocratic negligence and politics, and she was the sole survivor of that team. And she was made into a construct to be used for an assassination plot, which failed. Watanabe. He was a mercenary before the punishing outbreak, and after the Arcadia evacuation, he got bitter over the elites of the world prioritizing their evacuation over everyone else. Decided to create the Forsaken, the remnants of the world government's forces on Earth, and help the world in his own way. Ayla. She became a construct purely because her friend became one. Lucia followed in her sister's footsteps and became a construct after she has nothing else to do in her life after she believed her death of her sister. She's a little child soldier. Well, she's old enough to be an adult now, but yeah. Liv once was living in an elite, lovely family until the death of her mother. And with her new stepmother and step-siblings, she became neglected and ended up doing most of the housework. And she volunteered to be a battle medic during the Punishing War. And during her service, she was heavily wounded and was requested to become a constructed, which she accepts. And there's more to her story after that that's actually depressing. Kalarina. She was an orphan and looked after by the strange scientist who looked after her and taught her science and the values of explosions. And with the punishing virus happening, she ended up working for the world government and ended up becoming captain of the engineering force through her hard work and determination. Bianca was a sister and a nun to a church in the north, until the punishing crisis happened, which her father, who was an android, got infected. Her father, both in a spiritual and adoptive sense, and she was forced to kill him to save people. Vanshin. He was a doctor for the Star of Life, the world government. After he seen the truth of people's treatment of constructs, he decided to become a construct himself to help other constructs. He ended up being part of a conspiracy as well. Alpha. Her story is the same as her original form, but the divergence came when she was betrayed by the first Grey Raven commandant and got to witness her comrades in arms to be murdered. She survived, of course, while her consciousness was being uploaded into a spare frame. Of course, this transportation was intercepted, and thus she became Alpha, and ended up being picked up by Luna and recruited by her long-lost sister. Selena, a starry-eyed, talented artist and musician. She wanted to have a more real sense of the world, and she's Ayla's friend. She wanted to see the reality, to create her music and art have more meaning, but also get rid of her ignorance of how the war truly is. And the prize for her curiosity in helping people, she ended up being essentially tortured, ripped apart, decayed, and forced to become essentially a monster until she broke from that cage and becomes aimless and lost in the world. Chrome, son of the Myth family, of the great Mr. Smith. He was going to be one of Babylonia's greatest leaders and commandants. Well, he's supposed to, but he failed the commandant test, which is quite surprising for his tactical and intelligence mind. So, he decided to become a construct, and became captain of Strikehawk instead. As doing so made him alienated for his father's plans, but Chrome has his own plans for the future of Babylonia. And he was one of the star students training to be a commandant. Nanami. She's more of an experiment, raised by two scientists as her own child. They were too much teaching a machine to be human. Well, she is a mechanoid, but she was raised to be like a human. Hence why she has a bit of an odd behavior. But another interesting thing, since she's a mechanoid raised to be a human, and was treated as a human, she is also the first of the awakened machines. A machine was self-conscious. A machine was self-thought. She is the sage machiner, Lee. An intelligent young man was he, but his brother Murray was suffering from a deadly disease, or cancer. He was dying too in his heart. So, he made a deal with Babylonia. He would become a construct for them. In exchange, he will give his organs to his brother, to survive. And he used to do some questionable jobs, trying to get enough money to save his brother. Shanggu was a young man in Kulong before its collapse during the Punishing War. Fled to the Niter, where he, well, ended up doing a lot of schemes there. He used to be a stage performer in Kulong, but he ended up being a bit of a con man on the Niter. Until one scheme got very awry, and he ended up becoming sold to Adalik and became a constructor for them. Kamui, aka also known as Kamu. Kamu, the original, was essentially a mercenary soldier for a company. He was treated as expendable, and him and his fellow comrades were experimented on by using diluted versions of the punishing virus. He was the only human so far became immune to the punishing virus. Because of this immunity is seen as a perfect research subject. After his failed rebellion against the company, he ended up being turned into a construct. But his request on becoming a construct was his memories to be altered, for he hated the world. And he wanted a personality that actually loved the world. So, Kamui was born. Born to have the love of the world. Sure, they have the same preferences, but their outlook and their beliefs are very much different. Deep down, they are essentially the same person. And Kamui has been through his own hardships, losing his own friends he made in battle. No one. He, usually known as Shrek, or also known as No One. At first, he was born on Adalik. Then, there was a lot of politics. He ended up betraying his mentor through her request. He ended up being thrown off the train to left to die after a conspiracy. Only to survive became sort of a wandering scavenger, and eventually merchant and medic for the Forsaken, until with his sacrifice to help Adalik and Babylonia. And he was made into construct by Fornagut's ascendants. Lady Shu, the sovereign of Kulong. She's from a prestigious royal family, trained to be experts both in politics and history and literature and art and culture, to be the very best. Her, I don't know what relation he actually is, but I'm gonna say relation, one of her closest relation, decided to give up his claim to the throne and focus on developing super AIs for the world government, until he decided to come back to Kulong during the punishing virus war and made one for Kulong, which she would use to create a new paradise for her subjects, a virtual paradise. But also one of her other members of the family tried to have her and her relation killed as his attempted coup to take full power in Kulong. For Kulong had a bit of an elective monarchy going, only you can pick from someone from that royal family. Since Lady Shu was the only candidate left after the coup, yeah, she became the sovereign, and she has grand plans for the world. Roland. Roland was essentially an actor and teen actor. Well, he's been an actor since he was a kid, working on multiple TV shows and movies. Only to realize his last series project he was working in, he thought he was being an actor that helps with these mechanoids that thinks they're humans, but they're actually not. And sort of a enclosed area where they film pretty much mechanoids thinking they're humans. Well, he was one of the lead mechanoid actor's sidekicks. But in reality, he was the one being watched. He thought he was on this hidden little secret. But the hidden little secret was he was the entertainment. The entertainment of watching an actor trying to do his best, trying to convince machines of their role in that show. But the jokes were always away on him. Only for him, when the punishing virus crisis happened, he ended up quitting, ended up becoming a contract for the world government, and then being left abandoned to die. But he ended up meeting Luna and became her first follower. Pulau, little thing she is. Also from the Kulong mainland, she lost her parents to the punishing crisis. She was saved by a couple of robots, which ended up being infected themselves. And then her time on Kulong, she was raised by Lady Shu's doppelganger. Well, not really doppelganger. She was more of a mechanoid that housed Lady Shu's doppelganger's AI, and because he was obsessed with the AI. So Pulau actually prevented her from becoming used as a weapon to kill this doppelganger, which had a copy of himself being controlled by the AI at that time, and through her self-sacrifice, she ended up becoming a construct and a member of the Kulong crew to help maintain order and stability on the Nita. Hakama. Sort of an interesting one. Also, unlike Nanami, who was a mechanoid raised to be a human, Hakama was an AI. Well, AI supercomputer was created to observe machines as they were being treated like humans and raised to be humans. And she pretty much asked them questions and analyzed them. During the punishing crisis, her creators and their experimenters, well, one of their creators and experimenters created her a body to use. Actually, the body was based on nanomechanoids, so this supercomputer AI was given her own body during the punishing crisis to essentially go and help Nanami. And she ends up joining the Church of the Machine. And she's always will be Nanami's supporter. Even though she doesn't have Nanami's cheerfulness or playfulness, she's still loyal and hopeful to her anyway. And being an AI supercomputer, she is the most truly machine of all the constructs.